Welcome, DMAR and Phoenix Realtors members. Thank you guys all for being here for our first big Zoom event, Zoom Connect event of the year. It's kind of an annual thing now, Steve, that Steve Murray of Real Trends and Housing Wire joins us at the beginning of every year to really kind of kick off what we should be looking forward to for this year, what we should be thinking about as business evolves. Just in the 10 minutes that we had before this started, I think it was really awesome to be able to talk about, frankly, what is happening out there, which we shouldn't be worried about. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you. Before we get started, though, I wanted to give some props to several of our sponsors. First off, Steve Vega, who is our industry partner. Steve, I hand it over to you if you want to give just a couple of minutes on what you are, who you are, what you do, and what you're looking forward to when it comes to this Zoom. Steve.
Cool. Thank you, Nobu. I'm glad to be here. My name's Steve Vega, and I work with Rocky Mountain Exteriors. We're locally owned and operated roofing, painting, and full exteriors contractor, and really pride ourselves in being a company that works really well with real estate agents on both sides of the deal. And something that I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention as we new year. We used to give we did give referral bonuses to people that referred us business, but since real estate agents likely aren't able to sort of accept cash bonus, cash referral, we're rolling out a system where any referral, we make a $250 donation to a nonprofit of their choice under their name. So as many as jobs they send us, we'll continue to make those donations to the nonprofit of their choice, and we'll make sure we get them all that info so they can promote that on their social media and make sure that everybody knows that they're giving back. So that's just a new thing we've installed this year to really help the community, and just thank you guys all for the work. But yeah, roofing, painting, interior and exterior painting, and I'm the main point of contact for all our referral partners. Everything can run through me and my cell phone, and I'll get it scheduled and taken care of, and look forward to working with you guys and getting to know you all this year. And I'll put my contact info here in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Nobu. Thank you, Julie.
We also couldn't do this without our corporate sponsors as well. And from Chase Home Lending is Katie. Katie, if you're on the phone, if you can go ahead and give us your who, what, and why.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on the call this morning. Good morning. My name is Katie CCO. I am a senior home lending advisor with Chase. I've been with Chase for, it'll be 11 years here in June. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, make sure that everybody knows about, is our Chase Homebuyer Advantage program, which gives confidence in knowing for the client to know what they can afford when they're out there searching for a home. What we do with that program, we'll review your income, your assets, your credit history, provide a conditional approval letter for the amount that client can comfortably afford. You can focus on homes in the price range that the client is looking for to show those sellers and real estate agents that your buyer is a prepared buyer. Since most of that paperwork is already completed, once you make that offer, at that time, the only thing that we're going to need is that purchase contract and the appraisal to finalize the loan and potentially close faster. This has been working great for all of our clients because they're fully approved within 5 days from application, disclosures, in and out of underwriting, approved. And it's also winning tons of offers for our buyers that are out there. So if you don't know about the Chase Homebuyer program, I'd love the opportunity to talk to you about that program. Like I said, I am located in Colorado. However, I can go ahead and I can do loans in any state in the United States. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put my contact information here in the box. So if anybody has any questions, or if you have any clients that are on the fence of not knowing what they can afford, love the opportunity to talk to you and to them. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Katie. Thank you so much. We couldn't do our business without industry partners and our corporate sponsors, and same thing with you guys, realtors out there as well. So engage with all of them. We got a lot of them here in the forum, including Stephanie Overmeyer here from our industry partner chairs. They make our business and your business go. So hey, give them some props. Without further ado, let's talk with Steve Murray. And guys, this is when it's like have an open mind. Start thinking about where your business was over the last couple of years and where it's going to be. If you're a broker owner, you're a team leader, you're a regular agent out there, this is going to be for you. I can't stress enough how lucky we are here in the Denver metro area to be able to go and tap somebody like Steve. Steve has said no to every single traveling request that he's had, but he said yes to us. Steve Murray, thank you so much for being here today. How are you? Happy New Year. You're muted, my friend. Steve, you're muted.
How's that? Is that better?
Better.
There we go. It's an honor to be here. I've always liked working with DMAR members and realtors in Colorado because it's been my home for 32 years, and it'll be my home until I'm not here anymore, whenever that may happen.
Super cool. Great place to be, by the way. Coming here from Chicago, it's been great. Actually, this is actually a really good kind of segue in our first question here. And by the way, guys, again, put your questions in the comments as much as you can. Direct message me, and I can ask questions to Steve. We'll have plenty of time to talk today about this stuff. But so, Steve, we are almost 2 years past COVID. Thank God. It looks as if we have finally hit the downward trend of this. There were a ton of trends during these last couple of years. People talk about the great resignation. Actually, it's been more in the realtor world, the more great renegotiation about where people are going right now. There were a ton of trends, people moving. You've seen growth in not only cities, but in brokerages as well, feeling that growth. What are you seeing? What are you seeing right now? And I think the big thing is, there was a lot that we were thinking about that we should be latching onto, but some of them are going up in flames. For example, like my wife is seeing her clients go back into the city of Chicago with her clientele. What are your thoughts in this post-COVID world as we grapple with it?
Well, what we call was the Great Migration of 2020, 2021. People no longer, many tens of millions of people, white collar workers mainly, were untethered from their office. And some employers said, go live wherever you want to, period. The others said, we're closing down, but we'll be opening up again. And so you've had, I mean, to give an example, numbers I read last year, before pandemic, about 8% of white collar workers spent all or most of their time working from a home office. By late in the fall of 2020, early 21, that number was in the low 30%. So we're talking tens of millions of people now are working all or most of their time from their homes. Most forecasts think it'll only go halfway back. That is, there are some fundamental shifts of, do we really need to have people permanently coming to an office? You look at our industry, Zillow, Redfin, Remax, Realogy, Berkshire Hathaway have basically permanently shifted their headquarters so that most people don't go into work. And they have permanently shuttered or gotten rid of a lot of office space because they're not going to have the same everybody come in to this place to work and then go home. They have found they can be productive just using Zoom and other technologies. And though now they are getting back together, but they get back together for a purpose and not just an everyday event. So that means that we'll still have people that will say, well, if that's truly going to be the case, where do I want to live? What kind of house? And by the way, I was one of those guys. We downsized in the fall of 19, and I downsized right into a home that has no place for a home office.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny.
So Scott Wright and I, my partner in Real Trends Consulting, we found a 2-bedroom, kind of a 2-suite office space because we like still to go someplace to go to work and get out of our houses. And even though my commute is like 2 miles, it's still it's a shift in environment.
Yeah.
But I think that we're going to continue, so you pile on top of that, what we uncovered was, and you and I talked about it a minute ago, and somewhere, depending who you talk to, there are 4 to 5 million more households than there are housing units. And at the current rate the builders are building, it will take 6 to 8 years for them to catch up. I'm talking about, by the way, both multifamily rental and single family for ownership. And it varies from market to market. Denver, of course, is one of the hardest hit, with the vacancy rate in rental. Last I looked was 3.5%. And what did I read at the end of January from DMAR, that we had 1,400 listings at the end of January? And by the way, for people on, that's pretty much the case in every major market in the U.S.
You do bring up a good point. I think one of the things that we are going to be dealing with is a word that you use a couple of times in our kind of our pre-meeting here. It's scarcity, right? It was inventory, life, the cost of living. I mean, those were trends beforehand. Scarcity is even bigger issue now, and it will continue to be an issue going forward. And you've got prices going up, and the migration almost slowing down, to your point, right?
Yeah, a lot of the, whether the migration was people saying, I don't have to live, and most of these folks here are from Denver, and we have folks from Phoenix. So for instance, in Denver, I live in Castle Pines, Castle Rock, Elizabeth to the east of us, and even east of Elizabeth, there is a flat out boom in housing going on out there, right? We own a ranch out even further east than that, out east of Kiowa, and property values in Kiowa. We bought a ranch out there 7 years ago. It's doubled in value.
Yep.
Because people are going, well, because I can be in the tech center in an hour from Kiowa, basically. But I think the big surge of that has now calmed. And you had some people that bought homes, people had the means, like, for instance, the largest firm in Vermont, New Hampshire, doubled their revenue from housing sales, doubled their commission revenues from 19 to 20, and then went up another 30% in 21, because of the people from Boston, New York, Washington, Philly. People had money, they went up there to buy second homes.
So, and that's the thing we're talking about here, right? So, some of those, if you really kind of drill down to that data, it's not necessarily units moved that has gone up by 30%. It's the actual value of that that home. The volume has gone up.
Surge in business. So we have this imbalance of households looking for housing and available housing. Then let's pile on top of there that I read just the other day that in 20 and 21, American consumers accumulated over $5 trillion of cash and marketable securities. To put that in perspective for people on the phone, the whole housing market last year, housing sales market, I'm rounding, was $2 trillion. So American households have enough money to buy the housing market 2.5 times.
Yeah.
So yes, mortgage rates are going to go up, and they need to raise the rates faster to get ahead of this inflation we've got. They need to calm this thing down after the federal government had printed $7 trillion in the last 3 years. Seven between President Trump and President Biden, and regular operating deficits at the federal government. That's about the number, 7 trillion. Just boom, here you go. So, that's good news for realtors. It's difficult. It's difficult to try to find listings that one of your clients wants. They want to buy a home, or they want to move from here to here. But what it does is and what we noticed in our data the last 2 years is the market share of the leading brokerage companies and the market share of the top individual agents and teams all grew measurably from 20 over 19. We don't have all the data in yet from 21 to know for sure, but the initial data says they did it again, that the people who are really full-time masters of this profession, working diligently, it's still a great opportunity. Not as easy for people who don't want to really work at this.
Yeah, I mean, the people, we get 70, 80 new agents a week almost coming in. That's almost more than what we have inventory wise for them to actually buy.
Right.
But you're right though, right? You put in the work, you're going to be okay. That's always been the case. You're working harder now because it's not necessarily, it's a mix of things, not just lack of inventory, but you've got empowered consumers out there that don't realize that some of the legacy institutions that we're dealing with, the MLS of the world out there, brokerage websites, are going to be more accurate even now than a lot of the portals that you're seeing out there. And was forcing those portals, by the way, to become realtors, to become members of the MLS. Even the vaunted Rex guys who are going out there and suing everybody have become members of RA Colorado, right?
You know, they have to make up their mind whether they don't like the MLS or they like the MLS. They've been cursing the MLS for 5 years, and now they want to join the MLS.
Yeah, it's
kind of like, it's called technology schizophrenia or something. You know, but here's the other thing that real estate professionals need to understand. So, a couple of broad statements. After 46 years in this industry and watching all the various disruptors over time, and we've had waves of them, here's a couple things. First of all, technology is table stakes. Okay, everybody's got the technology they need to run their business, whether it's transaction management, CRMs, apps, website, whatever it may be, email, social media, whatever you use, that's just table stakes. Everybody has access to it. Mm-hmm. There's no specific differentiating factor in any technology I've seen that says those people are going to outperform these people because of some tech they have. It's what they do with the technology they do have. So my real look now, is, and I've done some work interviewing agents and some brokers who are using, we'll call it artificial intelligence or AI with big data. What does this really mean? It means some top agents and top brokers we're involved with and working with are using data to make smarter decisions of where to prospect to grow their business. Yeah. It's just that simple.
Yeah, and actually, no, let's actually talk about that trend, because I know you're seeing that. I'm seeing it as well. Like, so that is something definitely during this kind of this lull, right? There were a lot of brokerages because they couldn't go out there. A lot of agents, brokerages, and teams that couldn't go out there and search. The Inmans of the world, you know, you couldn't have your show for a year. They actually did a lot of like soul searching. What is important? What isn't important when it comes to tech? You mentioned things like AI. The amount of information now dumped into the internet, into the web to fuel AI is actually better now than it was even 3 years ago. What are you seeing trend wise in technology that we should be thinking about integrating into our business?
Well, the first thing is, and thank you for some of the questions you posed. Everybody's talking a lot about fintech, financial technology, merger. And there are a couple of firms out there. Well, for those who don't follow this, you go back 6 to 12 months ago, and Wall Street and the investment community, whether it's private equity guys or Wall Street or venture capital funds, they all, anytime somebody would wave a business plan in front of them that said real estate and technology, people would just dump money on it, right? Dump money. About 3 months ago, the money boys woke up and they said, wait a minute, is EXP really a technology firm? Mm-hmm. Is Compass really a technology firm? Is Remax a tech firm? Is Keller Williams a tech firm? Is Redfin Fathom, Real Brokerage, are they really tech firms? And given the fact that all of those, except for every single one of those firms that built the story that we are a real estate tech firm, got their brains kicked in by the investing community. Zillow went from 206 to 60. EXP went from over 90 to 30. Redfin went from 90 something to 30 something in their share price. I mean, it's like the money guys woke up and said, wait a minute, these guys are in the brokerage business. Their business comes from the brokerage business. And I've talked to many of them, and I said, well, you know, lots of luck with the strategy that says technology will cause buyers and sellers not to use agents, and they'll go online and tap, 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 tap and buy and sell homes. Can it happen? Sure. But our own consumer research and other people's as well show that roughly 90% of all buyers and sellers are still using an agent to buy or sell a home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they'll go to Redfin, they'll go to Zillow, they'll go to Realtor.com, and then they call either an agent they know or one that somebody referred to them, or maybe they go online and look for one, or they look around. The fundamentals really haven't changed. Technology is table stakes. Your basic technology will be just fine. What the requirements now to be successful is using AI and big data, and here's where I'm going with this. Ways to know if I'm an agent and I've got a database of, you know, whatever, 100, 200, 400 names in my database, how do I know which one of those people are likely to do something in the foreseeable future? And there are now tools to help me do that.
Yeah.
And do it pretty accurately. If I'm a brokerage company and I want to recruit good agents, I've got AI tools that tell me which agents at what levels of experience, at what levels of production are more likely to consider my offering, my brokerage offering, than others.
Yeah.
Others.
So let's talk about that real quick, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we're seeing the trends that I'm reading about, like not real estate, right? But kind of overall technology trends. Time on websites has gone up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's seconds, but that's light years in web speak, right? But it's starting to go back up after years of trending down because there's so much information out there. So it's good content. It's good, sticky, contextual information that gives people things they didn't know to Google. It's leading to this charge. You know, when it comes to like what people are using, right? We got Remine in RA Colorado, which is a really good real estate AI technology. They got some really good stuff that's being built there. Are you seeing trends with companies? Is there somebody that you would look at right now as an agent or a broker leader that was like, okay, maybe I'll take a flyer on these guys and check them out?
You know, I don't actually have a recommendation yet. I'm just starting my real investigation as to which people offering which tools really work. Now I have one I've interviewed, for instance, 3 agents that use one particular tool, and they absolutely swear by it. I mean, this thing even has when you embed, you know, your database of clients and customers with names and addresses and, you know, email addresses, this doggone thing will pop up once a month and say, oh, by the way, you have 4 people in your database that just listed their homes with somebody else.
Yeah.
Because you weren't staying in touch with them. You know, whack. You know, it goes back to, and I remember it's probably got to be 18 years ago, I recommended a book to the readers of Real Trends, and the book was Moneyball. And we've all heard about the book and the movie. And it basically was the use of data to make smarter decisions in which ball players you employ for how long in what roles, right? And now every professional sports team in every sport and all the collegiate teams, most all of them have full departments of data scientists analyzing data about the performance of their you know, ball players, hockey players, whoever they might be. Data to make smarter decisions and to guide you in where should I spend my time and effort? who should I be reaching out to
Yeah.
that will make me smarter about that. The second thing, you know, I tell agents and brokers, this is the age of, I really do believe we're finally getting to the age where the really full-time performing realtors, whether they're agents or teams or office managers or broker owners, this industry is now going to require for you to be constantly learning and staying on top of your profession.
I absolutely agree.
This is not a show up when you feel like it and dabble. It'll be very, very difficult to succeed unless you're full on.
Yeah, and I don't think, and I've seen this, like the questions are already coming up here in the chat. Magic bullets again. I mean, you remember the late 2000s, right? And then a decade later, it was more of these magic bullets. The bullets are getting better, y'all. The big thing is to hone your business processes, stay on track with your clients before, during, and after the transaction. Use whatever it takes in order to do it, and be constantly learning. Pay freaking attention. And I think that's the big thing we need to understand. We're in a time now in real estate where the only people that can afford to buy a home are the people that already own one. So why we sit here and try to think about lead generation is just insane, right? Talk to your existing clients and go back 2-3 years, because they've got trillions of dollars in equity built up in their home. Maybe they want to buy a second home, refer it out, right? Somebody's asking about using ACT as a CRM. Stop using anything that was around in 1990 that hasn't been updated since 1992, right? And that's what we need to start thinking about. Ask better questions of your technology vendors to go from there, and use the things you're already paying for. Because we're seeing broker leaders here, they're using good tech. The tech has gotten better within brokerages. It's now off the rack, and it's democratized almost.
Yep.
Just use it. That's been the biggest problem.
Yeah. Now, on a separate topic, one of the things you brought up is this. I don't call them fintech firms. They're just financial firms. Okay. Yep. Yeah, they use algorithms but these are the people using access to large pools of capital, OfferPad, Open Door, Orchard, Knock. I could keep going. People saying, we'll buy your home so you can go buy your next home, or we'll buy that home there and then you can take your time and sell this home. They're just financial intermediaries.
Yep.
They are growing, and they're going to keep growing. They offer an alternative to list my home, sell my home, buy the home, do a bridge loan, various things they do. They're just providing liquidity to a deal that has some friction in it. You know, I mean, myself, my wife and I, we had savings. It took us 18 months to find the kind of place we wanted, because we wanted to stay in Castle Pines, the city of Castle Pines. We wanted to downsize to something where I didn't have to cut the lawn or shovel the snow anymore, because I'm an old guy and you don't want to do that stuff. And okay, so we had the ability to buy that. It took us 18 months to get one done. We got outbid on 8. Because I wasn't going to chase the price where others would go. We ended up getting a good deal. Now I have to turn around and sell my past house. And we got blessed. In the fall of 19, market was heating up. We sold our home but we priced it right. By the way, we use realtors on every transaction I've ever done.
Yeah.
And we had a great agent, helped us get the deal we bought, got our house ready to sell, sold it in a day.
Yeah, because I think that
everything worked out.
And you're bringing up a good trend that I think a lot of folks need to think about, right? So most buyers are going to be a seller. And right now they know that they're sitting on a gold mine. And the problem that they have is the lack of confidence that they're going to find something in that time frame, because it's just so emotional and stressful. It kind of brings up Brian Dixon's question here, right? So in my mind, buyers agents are going to need to know about these fintech companies, these financial intermediaries, Fly Homes, Orchard, Accept Inc. is a local one here. They need to know about that stuff, because it is going to be able to empower them, give them options. I think the better advisor you are as a buyer's agent is going to be lead to success and actual relevance right now with people who think that all we do is open doors.
Yeah, and you know, like there's a homegrown technology built and grown right here in Denver called Zabby that helps agents analyze all the potential offers somebody buy home. But as long as the market is like this, there is going to be capital available to these companies, and they can have a nice margin. And one of the big reasons the institutions and the private investors pouring money in is because you'd have to be kind of a crazy person to lose money owning residential housing right now.
Yep.
Now, Zillow managed to lose $1 billion because they got too aggressive in wanting to buy homes. Okay. And then they realized it. Good for them. They understood they were going to get their teeth kicked in. This was not going to enhance Zillow's long-term prospects. Shut it down, get back to our core. Good. They came out with their results yesterday. Yeah, they took, it's like, you know, $1 billion loss last year, mostly on, well, it was all on their iBuyer. But here's the fun part. The thing I like to point out to people, again, advantage of being around since 1977. If you go back 40 years, 45 years ago, most leading brokers in the country had a program that said, if we can't sell your home, we'll buy it. This isn't new.
Yeah.
They also, back then, there was a thing called bridge loans. Oh, that's kind of like Orchard. That's kind of like Knock and others. It's just that because of the housing market the way it is, because of that just abundance of cheap capital out there in the economy, because my security is, if I advance money to buy that house, as long as I'm not crazy about my valuation, I'm probably not going to get hurt. I mean, the asset I'm putting money behind, I'm probably not, as long as I'm not crazy. You know, so look for these people not only to be more aggressive at trying to get market share from you as an alternative to helping somebody buy or sell a home. These financial companies will say, well, you can use an agent, that's great, but look, just call us up, we'll do the analysis, and here's your money.
Yeah. And I think the big thing is it's consumer centric. It's alien to what we think about, right? Because you have now it's a fourth party almost coming in along with the mortgage company involved with it. You got to lose the fear. I think if there's one thing that people in the Zoom need to really embrace is that there's a lot of companies out there solving real problems, right? And a lot of it, and as things tighten up when it comes to first-time buyers, for example, these companies are, I think, going to get more and more important. There's been a question about you brought it up, right? Investor buyers, institutional buyers. Blackstone has made more money in the last couple of years. People freak out about OfferPad and all these other guys, but Blackstone is definitely gearing up for this nation of renters in a time when folks can no longer afford to buy because they don't have the down payments, right? I don't think the trend's going away. What are your thoughts on the folks like Blackstone and institutional investors out there?
Well, the institutional guys and the plain old investors, you, me, and the people on this call, there's probably, I don't know, maybe there's 100 people on this call that we own residential family investments. I own two. And they have outperformed anything I've done in the stock market. So, I mean, last I checked, there were approximately 20 to 22 million 1 to 4 family homes in the US owned by investors to be rented out. Over half of those are owned by people that own 1 or 2. The big guys, the Blackstones, I forget the rest of the names. The fun part is they own, now keep in mind that total number is 20 to 22 million investor-owned single family, okay? The big institutional guys own less than 500,000 today. So it's like tiny. I mean, however, they are buying, collectively, all of them are adding to that at a clip of tens of thousands a year. They are. And it has become a new acceptable asset class for Wall Street and private equity guys to invest in. Right, I mean, good. Now, having said all that, when you've lived long as I have in this industry, we do have cycles. And people ask me all the time, well, when's the next downturn? Let me say this, I have no idea. I don't know anybody that knows. Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 5 years? Is it, what will cause it? Affordability will impact, it will start now to bear down on our market as they have to raise rates to head off hyperinflation, right? So we know historically that slows housing purchases down when rates go up. It'll slow it down a little bit. Affordability, have the prices outrun so many households that they can't think of moving up, and people forget about 30%, normal year, first-time home buyers are about 30% of all the market. Well, if you're choking them off, then 5 years from now, who's going to be there to trade up?
Yeah.
Who's going to be there to trade up? So I don't think this is, I mean, absent another black swan like the pandemic. I mean, we forget March of 2020, everybody's going, what's going to happen? And everybody goes, I don't know. Nope, we never had something like this before. It could be, it's a significant event, has nothing to do with housing, that has to do with financial markets, or heaven forbid, some, geopolitical event or something that causes housing to just kind of slow down significantly. Don't know. I don't know.
So it's still a scarcity thing. I mean, there's too much demand, not enough being built. There is a question that is out there right now: is, are we building the wrong homes right now? If you look at the time it takes to put a permit in, get it pushed through the county, and then get it built and moved into, it's 18 months now. Economic stats tend to be lagging indicators, and we as an industry tend to build things around these lagging indicators that are now beyond a year out.
Yeah.
What should we be looking at? Are we overbuilding here in Denver and in Phoenix, actually, for a lot of those folks that are listening?
No, I mean, I'm no authority on this. I just observe what's going around my part of town, Douglas County. And I live in the city of Castle Pines. I go to Castle Rock. I go to Lone Tree. I have friends in Parker, and I have a little ranch out in Kiowa. So I drive out there and see what's going on out there. We know that we're not building enough entry-level housing. Mm-hmm. We're just not building enough. And the incentives to do so are not there. Where I live, I look across I-25 at the Canyons project, and all those homes are 600,000-700,000 and up.
Yep.
I mean, I look at behind where my office is, what they call Castle Valley, 650 up to 1 million something. And they're building them, like stacking them on top of each other. But that's what's there, because the cost of ground, like you say, the cost of ground, the cost of infrastructure. I mean, it's
$70,000 to $80,000 to tap a well in your county. I mean, just to build a house, right? And that's unsustainable stuff.
Yeah. So look, all realtors should be prepared. How do I coexist with the financial firms who are offering to buy people's homes or help them buy their next home, whatever they might be doing? How am I going to explain this? I've got a relationship with the person who owns a home. They want to buy a home. They want to sell their home. We need to execute this process. Is bringing in an offer pad the right idea, or bringing in an orchard the right idea? Yes, that's just part of what I said earlier. You're going to have to be more on top of your profession than ever before.
Yeah. It's more apt to be an advisor beyond real estate, right? Beyond the house. This is about life that we're talking about. Because as some folks have mentioned in the chat, right, you are seeing some kind of unevenness when it comes to pricing appreciation. Downtown Denver is one of those things. Yeah, you've got the socioeconomic issues to deal with, but there will always be that buyer there. There just may not be as many as in other neighborhoods. You can go out further for that dollar amount. That drive till you can afford it mentality actually is a thing here somewhat. Let's talk really quickly about streamlining, right? The mergers that I've seen I mean, look at what happened with Bright MLS and California Regional MLS. That's massive, by the way. It's Coke and Pepsi doing something. But, you know, little things like I've two friends of mine merged out on the East Coast. A Coldwell banker out in the Hamptons and a Coldwell banker in the city, right? Because those buyers and sellers are going to be the same people. Are you going to see more? Are we going to see more and more of that type of mergers from the brokerage point of view? And how do we think about integrating streamlining of business into our businesses every day?
So first, we published a report 18 years ago. In fact, NAR underwrote a report for us to write about the future of the business in January, I think, of 2003. And when we did our research and we produced the report and we entitled it From Homogeneity to Segmentation. So as far as brokerages and agents, what does that mean? What we're talking about is back 20 plus years ago, there wasn't much consolidation going on. There was not much distinction between different brokerage companies. And what we're seeing now among agents and brokerage companies is, if you will, either you're a mass market approach, right? Or you're a specialist. I always make the analogy, do you want to be Walmart, Amazon, or do you want to be Nordstrom's, Tiffany's? What do you want? It can't be both. Inevitably, what happens is people that don't have any specific either service offering or culture distinction, then agents and buyers and sellers, they tend to drift to one of the two offerings. So if I'm an agent, what kind of brokerage best fits me? Is it a large company with enormous resources and technology and marketing and all these things? Or is it a smaller company with a powerful, supportive culture, which may have some of those things? Which fits me? We're seeing a lot of mergers and acquisitions. By the way, I cracked up when I saw that writing. I was involved in that deal. That Coldwell banker thing. Yeah, we helped them with that. So we sit and do M&A all day long and all over the country and Canada. We know that the consolidation at among brokerage companies, the single biggest year of consolidation in 40 years took place in 2020. And we have the data to prove it. I bet it happened again in 2021. I don't have all the data in yet, but I'm betting, because we had more transactions done last year than any year we'd ever done before. And this year is going to be bigger. This year will be bigger. And it's among all kinds of firms, whether it's Keller Williams, Remax, Independence, Coldwell Banker, EXP will probably add another, I don't know what the number will be, another net 20 or 25,000 agents to their US operations in 2022, probably. Compass is now above 20-something thousand agents in the US. I mean, we have 4 national brokerage companies. These are wholly owned brokerage companies: Berkshire Hathaway, Realogy Brokerage, EXP, and Compass. Combined, they're probably 20 to 22% of all the revenues in the industry. We have never seen that kind of consolidation.
Yeah, and it really is leading with something that they're actually marketing now and talking about it.
Yeah.
Cut costs. We can all make more money if we cut some costs. There's so much really good happening there. What are trends are you seeing in that cost cutting and streamlining?
So here's what's happened in the industry, and I'm sure this is an audience of both realtors and brokers and managers, but since we do roughly 200 valuations a year of all kinds of companies, we were able to compile that data and kind of look at trends over the last 10 years. But the bottom line is you go back 10 years ago, and the agents in the United States retained around 78 cents of every commission dollar. Got that number?
Mm.
Today, it's 88. So the broker now has to figure out how to run their business on 12 cents of every commission dollar as opposed to 20 something. Brokers have gotten much more efficient. They have fewer, larger offices, perhaps. The offices they do have, they've gone away. They're starting to move away from private and semi-private offices to more shared workspace. They're starting to use online services. EXP is a good example. Deliver all their services virtually online. Education, marketing, technology. These are things that 10 and 20 years ago, people actually weren't doing. They may have been thinking about it, but they weren't doing. Brokers are also then, most brokers are broadening their service mix, and more and more brokers are trying to have mortgage or title or property casualty or property management services to enhance their revenue.
That's actually a good thing. I mean, are there businesses that we should be thinking about? Because when you think about, like, I've seen just here in Denver, independent brokerages bring in in-house mortgage,
Yep.
in-house title, right? Is that the key to things going forward? Because it's always been for years that broker owners don't make money off of their agents. The agents do, right? And now it's actually easier to bring these companies in. Is that something that you would prioritize if you're even
I mean, well, first, let me say this loud and clear: is that most of the brokers we do business with, whether they're, regardless of their brand, location, or size, the good ones, they're still making money in the brokerage business, just not what they did. But if they want to generate profitability, generate capital to invest to grow their business, we're seeing more and more and more of them doing something to offer, integrate mortgage, title, and these property casualty and other services. They are now those, people running out to do it. Be careful, because these are heavily regulated activities.
Yep.
As to what you can do, and it has to be done carefully within RESPA guidelines or state banking guidelines or state insurance guidelines. But we're seeing. We saw Berkshire Hathaway, the parent company, right? Not the local broker, but Berkshire Hathaway Corporate just last week of December bought a household goods transportation company. So even they are going to add another housing service to their mix.
And a revenue stream, rev shares. Boy, I think these are things that have never been talked about, even in the independent broker. I think it's one of those things where I would love if maybe we come back and we'd run a class on how to do a good rev share.
Right, and we, and one other thing, like, so this, again, we don't have the 2021 data in yet, but in 2020, in the Real Trends rankings, which, by the way, don't call me because I don't own that anymore. That's Housing Wire guys own that now, but we're still consulting with them. But in 2020, we had 18,400 individual agents or teams who qualified. Minimum, they had to do at least 50 transactions or 20 million in volume, and there were 18,400 of them, right? Those 18,400 of them, when you add in team members, represented about 2% of all the realtors in the country. For 2020. They did 10.5% of all the transactions and 21% of all the volume.
Amazing.
Okay. So what I said earlier is the real full-time, I'm gonna make this succeed. I want to succeed in this. You can. But this is not like just showing up anymore.
Yeah.
And constant learning about the market and about trends and about, and like I said, my view is get a CRM or a transaction management system that works for you, whatever it might be. There are plenty out there, right, Nobu? I mean, you can pick from them.
Absolutely.
Right? And websites, plenty to pick from. Get settled with it. Make sure you pay attention to it. But when we survey recent buyers and sellers, more and more and more, the services they value the most have nothing to do with technology.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, for 20 years, the number one service buyers and sellers value above all others is an agent who they can build a trust relationship with, who can help them then negotiate the purchase or sale of a property.
Yep.
That's it.
And the big trend that we saw, NAR saw, 86% of consumers want that one-stop shopping at least experience. You just need to just connect people to other trusted, valued resources that you may have that align to your clients.
Right. I have a sister who retired from several senior jobs outside of our industry, did what a lot of people did. She moved to a Sunbelt market. Very smart woman, MBA, top brand manager, got her license, wanted to go into business. And it was funny, she was trying all this from her background, all this exotic marketing and branding and social media, and she was not getting very far until her coach said, why don't you start by handing your business card and engage people in conversation 3 to 5 times a day with people you don't know on the grocery store line but what she did is she ended up discovering a niche which was helping people who were downsizing.
Absolutely.
And you talk about connecting. So she became an expert in assisted living centers and dementia and Alzheimer's. And she ended up with also a network, people will crack up. She ended up developing a network of companies that would help families declutter. Yeah. Because a lot of people my age and older, they've been in their houses 30 years and they got more stuff in there and the kids don't want it. So what do you do with it, right? She built a practice and she was doing 15 or 20 transactions a year once she started engaging with people, telling them what she did and what her specialty was.
Yeah.
And she found a niche and she built a network of experts in aging families.
Yep. Niche search for real estate triples every year because that's how much information is out there. You're actually bringing up, I don't know if Scott or Amy Grossman is on here. They do the exact same thing. And specializing is absolutely huge right now where people are expecting that.
And by the way, here's my great last tip for the day. When you're interacting with someone, what you want to be thinking is along this line. Are you really listening to me or are you just getting prepared to talk? So as an agent, when you're meeting with client, customer, friend, relative, keep in mind that they want to know that you first care about them and what their needs are before you start talking about your real estate knowledge. It's okay to talk about your knowledge a little bit, but keep in mind, most human beings, they're going to make a judgment based on, do I trust this person that they will hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Shut up. We need to shut up more.
Shut up. Yeah. Right.
And it goes back to what Donna Ryan is actually asking here, right? We're at a time right now where people are patting themselves on the back for the amount of houses that they sold last year. And good God, if you didn't sell a lot of houses last year, that's on you.
Yeah, right? Find something else to do.
Talk about how many families you helped. Talk about how many happy clients that you had. Talk about how long it took for you to get a house ready to sell in 20 seconds and multiple offers. That's marketing now, right? So what is that like? So I'm an agent out there. I'm listening to this. I've probably got my broker owner here that's in it as well. What is that one piece of advice that you want to let these guys kind of kickstart their ear off with? One piece of advice.
I just talked to a friend of mine who's early 60s, retired from her career and became a realtor. And a lovely young, yeah, anybody younger than me is young. What advice would you give me? And look, first, you have to understand that you need to be prepared to build a database of everybody you know in your neighborhood, your church, your groups, your friends, your workers, and find a way that you feel comfortable to let them know that you become a realtor, a professional agent.
Yeah, they know. Number two,
spend a couple hours every single day doing all the studies you can on the market you're going to be servicing. What's going on, what really, not anecdotal, what really you're seeing. And I said, and work 60 hours a week for 18 months and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's beyond showing up. You got to work at it and be an expert, be a specialist, be transparent about everything you do.
you know, yeah. I mean, I've been doing this 35 years and there were a lot of 50, 60-hour weeks. And there was a lot of road work, making presentations, getting in front of people. Sometimes I made money doing that. Sometimes I didn't. But the whole goal was to get people to understand this is who we are and this is what we do. And we're here for you. And the first call is always free. And we solve most of their problems. Half of the people call us, we solved the issue on the phone call and I didn't get paid.
Yeah.
But I now have a friend.
Yeah.
I now have a friend. That's what this industry is still about. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
The first Zoom is always free. That's the big one now. Everyone's on Zoom, damn it, right? Steve, actually, you know what? You're doing a lot of really cool reports. You got Gathering of Eagles is coming up and end of June.
Right.
How many people realize that you run one of the best real estate shows for leadership, for brokerage ownership, for agent growth here in Colorado Springs at the Broadmoor? It goes really quick. Registration just opened, right?
Yeah, we open registration. We can take about 350 to 400 people. We do have, I hope it's not the last time. I always gamble, will it be the last time that I get to have Larry Kendall on my program? Right? Because he and we're both in the stage of exiting gracefully, you know, from all the commitments we've had for all of our working careers. But we're going to have lots of great panels. But here's the fun thing. It's all the panels and there'll be rapid fire and there'll be lots of information, and we don't work in the afternoons. So if you want to come down, we're going to golf and tennis and hiking and zip lining and spa, or then the majority of the realtors just go sit on the back deck at the Broadmoor and drink something.
Dude,
everybody's just talking about what's going on. What have you heard?
I got to say, that's the best place to be.
Yeah, it's great.
The actual event is one thing, but being able to go, because there's nothing really, unless you're a golfer, right? You sit in that bar after they're done with your show that day. The conversations are amazing. I went last year for the first time. I was able to go as a non-NAR dude for the first time. It was amazing. Steve, thank you for everything that you do for the real estate industry. And it is a pleasure every year to talk to you about what we should be doing.
You are far too kind. I have a lot yet. You know, I have a lot I owe back to the industry. It's been my home for 46 years. Tremendous people in this industry have been kind to me and helped. And so, you know, I saw somebody post "Go Giver," and that's the stage now, is to give back. And hopefully this was helpful for everyone who was online today. And again, that first call is free. So if you all can find me, Nobu can share my email address. Just reach out. If there's something I can do to help, just let me know.
Steve, you're the best. You're one of the few people that, and this is an industry rife of silver bullets and chest puffing. You're one of the true people that I look at as an actual expert in everything that's happening in this business. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me very much.
Y'all, this is going to be recorded, sent out to everybody who is registered. It'll be on our website as well. We along with Gathering of Eagles, if you literally Google Real Trends Gathering of Eagles, it'll come up. I will register really quickly, because now that we're past COVID, it sells out pretty damn fast. Yeah. It is worth going. I will be there playing golf with you this year.
We got to play this year.
Damn it, I'm going to do that. So check it out. Sign up for Real Trends emails. And Steve, there's still, even with Housing Wire, there's a lot of these really good emails and good year-to-year functionality that you do. Check it out. We have here at DMAR our Excellence Awards, talking about award ceremonies on March 9th that we are still selling tickets for. We're glad to have you guys there. And for those of you guys who have signed up for a membership meeting on the 24th with the 10 Things with Scott Peterson, it is still on. It's going to be live as well. So guys, thank you all for joining us. And if any of our leadership is on here, thank you so much. Julie, back to you.
Oh, thanks, Nobu. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Steve. What a great presentation, guys. I hope you all got a lot out of this today. We thank you all for joining us. If you want to stick around for a little networking, please feel free to hang on the line. We'll be here for a little while and would love to host that. So stick around.
Hey, I'll stick around if anyone wants to talk about that stuff, because there were some questions that we didn't get to. If y'all want to actually have it, happy to answer them if you guys want to go into more discussion. Here, hang out for a couple minutes if you want it. I'm gonna watch this Zoom count go down. It is going down fast. Y'all want to get on with your day?
Hey, Nobu, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
I've always, all the things that we're talking about, I kind of jumped over to the other idea of making it a little bit more difficult for realtors to get, for people to become realtors.
Yep.
The licensing and the cost of becoming a realtor, it is really negligible. You know, I remember taking the test and I loved the content. And so I personally, you know, people would tell me, just skip through things because they'll show you how to get the answers at the end, and just kind of pay attention to how that works. And the cost to get into real estate or to get licensed is really nothing. Now, earning money the first year as a realtor brand new is where the cost comes in.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
You're asking a question that's been around. Yeah, I see Eric Mott on here. He's nodding his head. It's been there for about 100 years, right? This has been the same thing for about 100 years. You have two things that we're dealing with here, okay? State licensing. So that's kind of the first line of all of this stuff, okay? I personally have gone to multiple states to up this stuff. But the problem that you have is that most licensing authorities view licensing as a revenue stream. Okay, why they don't triple it is because they view real estate people who cut hair, do massages as an entry point. Like, why should we stop business is how they think about things. And when you now see things from the perspective of this great renegotiation, the glut of new licensees in general is a thing. It's really hard to stop that kind of mentality. Although I have gone up in the state of Minnesota, it took me 4 years, guys, to go and raise CE credits, right? The cost to stay in the business was a 4-year conversation to me. So I will tell you that other states have done it. The state of Texas tried a couple of years ago to make it so that there is at least a associate's degree requirement to get your real estate license, and that failed. Okay. But now if you look at, you got all that stuff, and then you have all these other, like, what if it became harder to become a realtor? Now you got something, right? What if broker owners stopped hiring people who fogged a mirror and instead decided to make the best out of the agents that they do have? That's the other thing, right? So, you know, you got a mix of socioeconomic issues, pure economic issues, and a mentality that's a little archaic. Here for us, if any of you guys have been on my new agent orientation, I'm flatting out telling people there are more of you on a Zoom than there are listings, and you need to be a business owner in order to get there. So, like, I'm a little more upfront about the realities of this business. And I'll tell you, I'd rather deal with the 1 or 2 people that reach out to me after that to ask how do we be better, than try to deal with 70 people who, reality, guys, 60% of folks actually fail at this business by their second licensing cycle, right? So they're gone. What we have to deal with now is that the top 90% or the top 2% of our industry is doing 95% of the business. And they're the people right now that need a little bit of help. Sometimes they know better and they don't illustrate that, right? So this is not a new agent thing. This is a everybody together thing, because no matter what, we all look bad when one of us fails now because of how crazy the internet is, marketing is, and all that stuff. So, you know, it's a holistic thing. So in my mind, if you feel that way, mentor agents better. You know, we're doing a bunch of that here, mastermind wise. Mentor these people better and hold some of the folks that should know better to account. Accountability is absolutely huge for this. And there's nothing more than, I will say that the DOJ, I think, is going to shake this out, to be honest with you. I think that, I think it's going to happen to us regardless at this point. So prepare. As Steve mentioned, streamline your business, get more out of the 22 cents that you're going to get out of every dollar. See if you can get to 30, right? I think these are personal goals that you need to have. And I think cut costs where you can on stuff that doesn't mean anything. Because if it doesn't matter to your buyer or seller before, during, and after the transaction, you're most likely wasting money on it, right? And if we get better just on our own, I think we're going to be okay, to be honest with you. I got people like Eric Mott here, Greg Zadell. You guys have been in the business for a while. I mean, your thoughts on this stuff?
Well, I just posted, get the C2EX. So you got to improve yourself if you want to keep the business going. And all these things are what Steve was talking about, and I've been around almost as long. It's reoccurring. We had these same conversations 30 years ago about how do we raise the bar in the business. And it comes down to educating and continuing to educate yourself. And it's not a simple thing like you're talking and Steve was talking. You have to get out there and come in contact with your folks.
One thing we have to remember, this is a total relationship business, plain and simple. Electronics is not going to do it. Doing a Facebook posting, yeah, people see it, but it's going to lunch. It's breaking bread with people. It's meeting them. Somebody put on the chat, the 3-foot area. I talk to everybody, grocery store, barbershop, wherever. Everybody knows what I do for a living. And that's the thing, is the relationships. And you got to build on them, and you can't let them go stale. And that's the key thing. I think we get so busy sometimes that we forget, oh, we should have a client event so we can actually face-to-face see our clients, that they can feel good about who they call as their realtor, as their trusted advisor. And that's the position you want to be in, is the trusted advisor, where I get calls. Do you know somebody who does this? Yeah, I do. Here they are. Here's their number. Here's their email. Let them know that I told you about them, because that's how this business works, relationships.
I mean, we handwrite a thank you card, for God's sake, guys. People have a choice in this business, handwrite a thank you card, because people get mail so little now, and do it with your actual handwriting, please, for God's sake. I know there are apps that you can buy that will make it look like your handwriting, but if you can't find the time to write one thank you card a day to somebody that you want to be memorable with, good God, guys, just go back and start all over again. But I will tell you that usually with stuff like this, it's not the folks on Zooms like this, the folks that aren't here that tend to be the problem, right? So encourage the stuff at your offices when you go home. Somebody actually asked about AI. That word is like a drinking game now. Every time I hear it, I want to take a shot. But I will say that there's a lot of really good stuff out there. If you're an RE Colorado and RMLS member out there, which I think a lot of you guys, I see some Phoenix friends of mine out there, check out Remine. Just dabble in some of the in the products that you have just in your MLS, for God's sake, and then go from there. You're going to see a lot more of AI powered tech over the next couple of years, because the amount of information that's been dumped on the internet by all of our friends and our clients and our family, because they've got nothing else better to do sitting in a quarantine zone, has led to a lot of really good development. In general, I think we should be prepared for a leap ahead now in real estate tech. Somebody asked about crypto and Bitcoin. Sell enough real estate so you get a client wanting to buy one of your listings with 30 Bitcoin, because that's where it's at already. There's already people doing this stuff. My wife gets that now with her business in Chicago. So, always be learning about not necessarily what you can do to be a better salesperson, but how you can be a better service person to the people that are out there that don't know that you're a client yet, which is how I see things. Any other questions? All right, Eric will hit you up. You guys, Erica, go ahead. You're mute. I can't hear you though. Oh man, still can't hear you. Always technical issues. If you want to put it in the chat, that's cool. Anybody else have any questions? We'll wait for Erica to get her question in there and we can answer it. I don't know, maybe we can plug in. Are we doing anything cool, Julie?
We're always doing something cool. What do you mean? We're DMAR for crying out loud. Yeah, we're doing cool stuff. Let's see, you already mentioned the Excellence Awards on March 9th. We'll have another one of these in March, and I apologize, I'm looking up for the date.
And frankly, guys, if you want to start chiming in with potential subject matter, you know, one of the things I think we learned last year when it comes to these connects is we need to go deeper on one topic. So that's what we'll be doing over the next couple of months. So like literally some of the things I'm thinking about, like how to make money off of Instagram posts, like video 101, something like that. So we're looking into all of that stuff right now. Okay, gotta get to, okay, Erica's asking, get a table at the Pet Expo, my rescue, it's free for them. How do I insert myself and mark myself as a realtor, not stepping on toes and still helping them? You know what I would do, Erica, if I were you? If one of the things like my wife, and I think this may have come from my wife's presentation, she sends a thank you card out on behalf of all the dogs that she has saved, right? And I would lead with all the dogs that you've saved and put that up behind you. And thanks to these, thanks to my clients, these dogs were saved, right? And that's, to me, is the best way to be subtle about it. And frankly, I don't even need to talk to you if I can see that, right? Don't be afraid to lead with that. Here's what I do with some of that commission. Here's how I give back to community. And frankly, dogs are better than like 80% of humans. So I totally agree with you. But I would do that. Go really hard and heavy with that, with the visuals. Because that thank you card, that email that my wife sends out for that kind of thing gets amazing amount of traction. Here are the dogs that these people saved. Awesome stuff. No other questions? You guys good? All righty. We really appreciate you guys' time. Thank you, Phoenix Realtors. Thank you, DMAR members. Greg, Eric, thank you for chiming in. Erica, thank you for the question. This has been great. Hope to have more of these things as we go. All right. See you guys out there.